Where's the remote? Found it.
Turn off the lights.
All right.
Did you grab the drinks?
Yeah, I got them.
Okay, I'm making the popcorn.
It's starting. Come on.
All right. Okay, I'm here. Hit the button. Hi, I'm Jill.
And I'm Gianna. And welcome to the We Watch It All podcast, where we watch it all and give you our opinions.
AKA the opinions no one ever asked for.
And today we're going to be recapping Only Murders in the Building, Season 2, not Season 1, only because Season 2 is currently airing. And if we did Season 1 and 2, we'd be here forever.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. We recommend you go watch Season 1 if you haven't watched it and you do actually want to watch this show. Because this is going to spoil it. Because this is not a show where you can just be like jumping at any time. We're literally going to spoil it as soon as we say our first sentence.
Yeah, but they reference reference some characters and stuff and do a little flashbacking too. So you will like potentially see stuff that
So we are going to recap 1 through 6, and then next week on our official podcast, we're going to do episode 7, and we're also going to do episode 13 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You can hear our recap for episodes 1 through 12, which are already out now for Beverly Hills. And we're also going to be doing a binge, which is MasterChef Season 9, and also Alex vs. America. If you want a little bit more of like what we're going to exactly watch, check our Instagram, We Watch It All, and that's where you can get all the info.
Yeah, but we're going to watch that week so that you can either watch or just listen.
Yeah. All right, I think we should get started. Let's start with episode 1 here.
So episode 1 starts with Oliver, Mabel, and Charles being interviewed by the police, obviously at the police station. Mabel was found standing over Bunny, and Bunny is
the board president of the Arconia. Yeah, she's lived there her whole life, basically.
Yeah, she was a character and a half. She was killed, obviously, and Mabel had a full-blown bloody sweater, and they nicknamed her Bloody Mabel. Yeah. It went like viral and everything. So she was obviously the number one suspect, and then the other 2 were taken into question as well.
Yeah, because I think when the police came there, they were there as
with her,
well. So but she obviously had the blood all over her sweater.
Which is interesting because somebody obviously called the police, and it wasn't them, was it?
No. But also, we do know now in the newer episodes that the killer told them to get out of the building because they think it's actually Detective Williams who was interviewing them and was kind of the big, like, the lead detective on the last season's murder case.
Yeah.
But I think she's also probably the lead detective.
But that means somebody already had to have called the police before she even got down to her apartment.
The police do share with them, though, that Bunny was killed with a knife and not the knitting needle that they see in her like chest when we actually see the murder happen, which is kind of a little helpful for Mabel because she did say in one of the previous podcasts if she could have killed anybody, she pictures herself jumping on top of them, stabbing them with a knitting needle. And Detective Williams actually tells them to cut the podcasting out. It's only going to get them in trouble.
Yeah, go home, be quiet, just lay low, let her do her job, and Mabel is on board with that. Of course, Oliver isn't because, he's comes out the stairs and he's, like, standing in front of the snapshots, like, the people taking the photos, trying to get, he loves the limelight. But Mabel convinces him not to do the podcast, just to please stop everything because she just wants to get away from this whole murder situation and just be normal, be a normal young person or what have you. And then after she does that, they kind of move on to Charles getting asked to do a reboot for Brazos, his big show, which I think was interesting because they kind of delve back into a little bit more of like his background and stuff like of the show. And then Mabel gets a DM from Alice, who is a new character, and she wants her to come down to the art gallery because she has seen the painting that she did on the wall of all the windows with the
of the building, the Arconia, with all the people in there
that live in there. And she wanted her to come down and like talk to her about it.
Yeah, and we also see Oliver on the elevator, and he meets Amy Schumer, who is now going to be moving into Sting's apartment, which is the penthouse. And she mentions that she wants the rights to the podcast so she can create a show with it. Weirdly enough, too, she wants to play Jan, I think, out of everything. which I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know what her point in the show is as of
I don't know. It's weird. We'll have to see how it unfolds.
But I mean, she hasn't been in a few episodes kind of since this appearance, so she has one more like scene, and then she kind of hasn't shown back up. So I guess we'll see.
We haven't really seen her. And then it goes back to Charles, where he gets to actually meet the showrunner, find out that he's not playing actually Brazo the star, but uncle of Brazo's. They're gonna recast with a new girl character, and he'll play like the uncle of her. Yeah. Because that's how reboots are. I mean, in a reboot, it's kind of like what I would expect them to do, kind of. But I know he doesn't understand all that stuff, so I guess he's like upset. And then Mabel goes to Alice's art show, and Alice shares that she wants Mabel to join her art collective, basically. And Mabel just wants to make sure that that's not a cult. Yeah, but I think she's happy to do it because she just wants something away from the Arconia that's just hers. Yeah. And then Cinda Canning. Yeah. She was in last season as well, right? Yes. Yeah, she was. But did she have the podcast that she had? No, she had other podcasts. Murder one. She had other murder podcasts, which is kind of, I think, she was like their inspiration to do their own true crime podcast. Yeah, they all listened. That's how they were bonded. They all listened to her podcast. But now she's doing one on them, only murderers in the building. Yeah. And they end up meeting to talk about her podcast, because it's like she's not going to tell the truth. They can tell the truth. And Mabel ends up sharing with them that the night of Bunny's death, she heard Bunny say the words 14 to her. Nobody knows what that means yet. I don't think. Yeah, we haven't gotten any clues to what 14 could mean. No, a lot of the clues don't make sense to me. At all. Nothing that they say, but they decide that the best thing to do would be to break into Bunny's apartment because they were hearing voices through the vents. Her voice. Yeah, her voice, and they're like, "What the heck is that?" And they discover that once they get into the apartment, it's Mrs. Gambolini. Mrs. Gambolini, her bird. Who obviously, parrots, they mimic the people that own them. So hers mimics her own voice, basically. And when they're in there, Oliver's like, can we please look for death threats that I sent to Bunny? Because that's not going to help my case. Which, when I've been thinking about this episode for a little bit now, and I'm like, has the police, not combed through her place, yet? Since her murder? Would have. That would have been the first place they went. But I don't know. I feel that would have been, closed off. I mean, I know they did sneak in, but the funny thing is... I don't think there was, tape or anything. No, because I believe it's pronounced Uma, the other lady in the building. I think it's Uma. And Howard actually go into her apartment, and you don't see them cross any tape. And they're actually there looking for a... Oh, the cats are awake, everybody. They're here to give their opinion. Oh, he sat on part of the mic. Oh no, Coo. Can't be good. This can't be good. Our other co-hosts are here. But yeah, Uma and Howard are coming in to look for a high piece of art of Bunny's, and they're there to wrap it up and kind of just sell it. But the painting's missing. Yeah, they want the money because they claim. I don't know. They're having so many thoughts, these cats, right now. Sorry, folks. He just woke up, so he's a little groggy right now. He's a little thrown off. All right, but he's coming to join us on the little couch as we continue. I will continue on while he gets settled, though. Obviously, while Uma and Howard are coming to look for this painting, who's in the room but Mabel, Charles, and Oliver? Obviously, as they've broken in, they didn't get out in time. Not out in time, but they hide in Bunny's closet. Which I kind of think is, so cool, because I had a house like that had, not obviously what she had. She had, a full-blown hidden elevator. Yeah. But we had, things behind walls that, you were not... You had some secret tunnels. Well, we had secret stairs. They had closed off stairs that went down into my refrigerator. But it was those TikToks where people just open their cabinets and there's a slide into their basement. Well, not literally, but I had a refrigerator. But if you moved the refrigerator and you looked up, you saw the stairs. Interesting. Then, so it was kind of cool. But the group goes into her closet and they hide until Uma and Howard basically leave, and Mabel discovers an hidden elevator in her closet, like you mentioned.
And it leads to the back of the building. And now something I just want to mention, because
She had a lot of exits, it seems like, to get in and out.
Yeah.
Mrs. Bunny.
Mrs. Bunny here. No, but I think we need to mention this, and obviously we don't want to go too into detail here because, you know, we could be hung up on everything. But each of them take one of her, like, big fluffy coats, and I just feel like that's going to have to come back to bite them, and it hasn't yet. But I just want to put it out here, us right now saying that that's going to come back to bite them. And after all that, once they find this, after they come out of the elevator and it's in the back of the building, they're like, we gotta start podcasting, and we're the only ones that know the truth.
Yeah, that's how they're convinced that they need to do it, because
He's just looking up at the mic, Cooper. He's so cute. Oliver then goes through all the notes that they kind of did gather in a trash bag at Bunny's, and he finds one saying, Bunny Folger, I want that painting. Ooh.
yeah. So whatever this painting is, obviously it's going to become a big thing. And Charles goes to his apartment, and I don't know what I thought was going to be in there, not what was, but like he like, does he scream, or he gets like,
I don't really remember.
he's so shocked.
He's just taken back by this.
that he calls them all back to his apartment, because when he walked in, there was the painting.
There was the painting.
And it was of his father.
Yes. And then we lead into episode 2, which picks up right from the same point. And Mabel shares that she actually also heard Bunny say Savage, which is none other than Charles's last name, if nobody knows. So of course, you know.
Yeah,
no.
but 14 and I was
Savage.
thinking of all the things. 14 Savage, it makes no sense. None of it makes sense.
No, well, obviously,
Unless
as we
14
see,
is like the apartment of somebody that, like,
I don't know.
maybe she was trying to...
I think obviously the Savage. I think she was trying to say like something with the painting, like
Maybe.
you know, I don't know there, but Howard ends up coming over to them, and he tells them that
Sorry.
Cooper's making noises over here. We don't know if you can hear that, but we do apologize if you can, or if we don't. I don't know. Howard comes over though, and he says there's going to be a party at Bunny's, which is the perfect case to sneak that painting back in. Obviously.
Yeah. And then this is where we meet Nina Lynn, the building's new board president.
Yeah.
She's a real character for sure. She's pregnant and like freaking huge in the show. I mean, I'm just assuming she's just pregnant on the show. But
She is pregnant.
No, I mean like just on the show.
Oh, like it's a fake belly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably.
And then, well, yeah, no, it has to be because she does give birth.
She does give birth, yeah.
Which, and then we also meet Bunny's mom, Lenora.
Yeah.
She shows up, and guess what she's looking for?
The painting.
The painting.
It's her painting, to be exact.
What are you doing? Make a move, man.
Cooper is just...
He doesn't
Cooper's
know
like,
what to
stop
do.
trying to kick me out. I have my opinions to share.
Sit down. Do you want to sit down? Okay. Go
He's
back
gone. All right.
Okay, or do that. Yeah. Okay, there we go.
Oh, Cooper's hitting us with his tail. It is a little bit of a mess here. He's on edge. He's on edge right now.
Wait, I'll make him happy.
Oh, she's going to make him happy. While you make him happy, I'm going to continue on. Oliver and Mabel end up leaving the party so they can go get the painting. And they're going to meet Charles. He's going to go in the closet, bring the elevator down to them, is the plan. But what happens? He lets the door shut behind him.
Yeah, it's a one-way door, like going out into like...
Yeah, it's obviously...
like a... Not
It's to the back of the building, like where their trash is, kind of.
Yeah.
So she's got like a quick exit to the trash, basically. She's lucky with that.
Yeah, it's like a back.
It's like
weird.
it's like almost like I would say a quick like fire exit, but not really because elevators shut off when there's a fire.
Yeah, and
in
that
building.
elevator was pretty.
Well, maybe not. Maybe this is older, so maybe it doesn't work.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
maybe it's
it
like
doesn't.
one of those old school ones. Who knows?
We don't know. But since they can't get back up, they said we're just gonna leave the painting in the trash.
Yeah, which I thought was weird.
Well, I think they not leave it, but they put it between there, and they were gonna come back and get it because people were coming to like
No,
put stuff
yeah,
in the
I know.
trash, which is obviously, not good.
All right, so then Mabel ends up going to Alice's art studio and asks if she knows Rose Cooper, who is the painter that painted the painting.
Yes.
Which she says she does, and
Which-
I'm telling you, she's going to be something to somebody if somebody
Like,
this
related
girl,
to her?
Alice, is going to be. Oh yeah, I think she's going to be related to somebody or something, or a kid
Yeah.
of someone's for sure.
It
There's just
feels
no
like
doubt.
at first, like when you're watching this, you're like, oh, she's the murderer. But once we get to episode 7, you kind of realize
There's
that I
just
don't
no-
think she's the murderer anymore. But I do think she has not maybe a hand in the murder, but she knows more than she's leading on. At least with the painting end, I think. And Charles actually ends up going back to the trash because he wants the painting because it's of his father. And It's gone. Of course it's gone.
All right, so Oliver goes to Amy Schumer. I still don't know.
Amy Schumer.
Schumer. Why can't I say it?
Yeah.
Amy Schumer. To discuss the show, and then she has the painting in the apartment. She claims she found it in the trash, which could be true. I mean, it very well could be true, but it's like, why would you pick? This is a painting of a naked man. Let's keep that in mind. We didn't mention that.
Well, okay. Oh yes, yeah, we didn't mention that.
Charles's father is naked,
with a woman,
and he's like got his head on her lap or something. It's like a weird painting.
Yeah, but well, she did mention that she wants it because it looks like Charles, and she's doing a little method acting of being like Jan, so I guess, which, yeah, I could see Jan probably wanting that painting as well, but
weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, no, it's weird, which she does, we'll find out that she doesn't want the painting when she figures it's not Charles in the painting. Mm-hmm. We get a little montage of Mabel destroying this sculpture that Alice made for her, which Alice does film it, which feels important. I don't know, kind of maybe.
Yeah, like trying to show her violence or something, maybe. At the time, like, you just thought she was just trying to get, like, her.
Yeah, she said it was for art therapy. Yeah. And they both end up kissing, and Charles decides that he's going to talk to Lenora about this painting.
Yeah, Lenora shares. She's got a lot of information. She definitely does, which I think is so cool that they're going back in time to, like, explain, like, when Charles and Oliver first lived in the building, like back
the history of the Arconia.
The history of the Arconia and their history in the building and stuff, their connection to it. Like, I thought that was cool. But she shares that she bought the painting from Rose Cooper, who was trying to get away from a man, and then she went missing, Rose Cooper, and was declared dead. Yeah. But declared dead doesn't mean that
she's actually dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they just said they couldn't find her, so they declared her dead, and which is why this painting also is so high in value, they mention, is because the mystery around her death, in a sense. But obviously, if we're assuming that she is like the same age as Lenora and Charles's dad would be, then she could definitely still be alive and just, be keeping a secret. And I wouldn't be surprised if she came back in the finale or something, like alive or something.
Well, they were also saying that she lived across the street from the Arconia.
Yes.
And they showed Charles's dad, like, and him, like, going to, like, acting gigs or something like that. Wasn't it, like, acting?
Yeah, he was saying he was going to an acting gig, but he was going to the building.
Yeah, to like an audition or something like that. But meanwhile, he was going across the street to her, and they said that Charles's dad was having, like, an affair or something with them. So. And
then Mabel and Oliver come over, and they kind of just share what they had heard about the paintings, with Amy Schumer and Alice, and the group and Lenora end up going to Amy Schumer's so that, Lenora can go and get her painting, and Lenora reveals that the painting is fake, that there was actually, I believe, like, somewhere on the back it was torn or something.
Yeah.
So she's like, this is not my painting. I don't want this. And obviously Amy Schumer realizes that it's also not Charles, so she doesn't want it. I think Charles ends up taking it. I don't really remember. I don't know where the painting is as of now, the fake one at least.
I think it might be still with him.
I think it is. I think he took it because he still wanted it, because I guess, still a copy.
And then Oliver inherits Bunny's bird.
So yes, because it was in her will for him to take.
And they realize that the bird, like, starts saying things, and, like, I know who did it, and I know who, and I... Did it actually say I know who killed Bunny?
No, I think we realize why it does it. It says, I know who did it.
I know who did it, yeah.
And that's where it ends, and we pick up then in episode 3, and they're back with the bird trying to convince it, which is so funny, them all doing their impressions of Bunny trying to get her, really trying to get the bird to speak to them.
Yeah, it was bad.
Which, if you don't even really watch the show, I recommend just going and watch the scene. It was
because Bunny had a really interesting voice, and she talked.
She almost sounded like, okay, I'm gonna pull one out the archives. You remember Monsters Inc. The secretary? She sounds like the secretary from Monsters Inc. I can't remember.
Imagine she did do the voice for that secretary.
I wonder if she did. We're gonna have to look at this up later. But they end up going through the stuff that they found in Bunny's apartment, so that and they find a receipt from her last day. And we get a little montage that they kind of create of her
about, like,
last day. I literally believe it's called Bunny's Last Day.
Oh, maybe we should probably.
We should have wrote down the titles. We apologize for that.
Yeah. So they follow her throughout her last day, which is nice because she is like she's a crazy character. But, like, to think that you weren't going to have her on this season in a way kind of sucked because she was obviously dead. But
we're getting her here and there. Yeah.
She'll be through flashbacks, but and they show her, like, last season she was kind of mean. And this like
This
last
episode,
kind of
yeah.
like you
You're
see
like,
like the
oh.
softer side of Bunny.
She's much
and it's
nicer than
kinda
you
like, yeah.
think. So she ends up practicing her speech for stepping down from the board,
Yeah.
which obviously shows that, her choice was to step down from the board. And she goes out, she gets her bagel and coffee, which is very typical in New York.
Yeah, it seems like a very typical day for her too. Like
Yeah, like this is
she's
just
very methodical. Like her stuff is all the same. But then you have the three crazies that when she comes back are like Charles, Mabel, and Oliver are like it's like a week I guess after them
catching the
killer from last season.
Which I don't know why last season I thought the night they caught the killer and Bunny's death was on the same day, right? Mm-hmm. And now they're like it's a week. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they never really explained it. Maybe it's a little retcon. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch the finale to remember if they jumped like a week later. Yeah, but I always assumed it was the same.
No, because it made it sound like they were.
I thought it was like in the I don't know.
Unless it was this night.
Well, yeah, I guess so. They were going to celebrate one week on their own now without their fans there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I always assumed that it was the week. Guess not. I mean, a day. Sorry.
And then she obviously meets up with Nina Lynn, the new board, well, the girl that's going to take over. Yeah. And they discuss the building. She seems very fitting. She seems
knows
like
everything.
She's going to run it like Bunny, which is very weird because like you feel like something's going to go on there too, and you do find that out later. And then you see Bunny and Uma. They go for a walk and they share about her thoughts about going to Florida and. When Uma leaves, she gets a call from somebody wanting to talk about the painting. So this painting keeps coming up. Like,
yeah, this painting is obviously
it's going to be something.
And then Bunny goes to her diner and has her usual waiter just continuously proving that she's like on a very strict schedule every day. And the waiter actually shares that she had lunch with somebody different the day. She had lunch with somebody the day before, but she had a different waiter.
Is someone going to join you or something?
Yeah,
because he was off or something, and I heard you had someone join you or something. Will there be someone joining you again? And she's like, no,
they're not my friend. I think he said is your friend, and she's like, not my friend at all. And Oliver and his son Will are actually there at the same time, and they're talking about that his son is going to be directing his son's school play, which is just a little odd because this son's damn school is going to become an issue for Oliver. Weirdly enough.
Yeah. And I don't know what this is. Like, when she leaves, she gives him... I mean, I know it's her waiter, and she feels like... I guess because she's moving, she gives him, like, a large amount of money in an envelope.
Well, she says there's nobody else that really deserves it or that she knows earns it. But, it's a stack of cash, because it's like... Well, aren't you... If you're going to Florida, don't you still need money to pay for stuff? Yeah, it's like almost like she knew she was going to die in a weird way.
I don't know. It's weird. Yeah.
Also, in the same day, she ends up going home, and she rides the elevator with Mabel and Charles. They're going up to go meet Oliver to celebrate on their own now, and the elevator stops working, and the air kicks off and everything, so it gets really hot in there, and Charles is freaking out, and once she fixes it on her own, she shares with them that she doesn't even like the heat. So like, why is she going to Florida?
Yeah, and I think she just put two and two together, like how like in sync with the building she is. Like she knew exactly what to do, like to fix it. And I think
Cooper's
she's
agreeing over there.
But she doesn't want to leave the building. I think she doesn't want to leave the building.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when she goes, they're hosting like the retirement party and her thing, and when she goes to tell like them that she doesn't, like Nina and them that she doesn't want to leave, like. They start going back and forth and fight. Her and Nina start fighting.
Yeah, she's kind of like, well, you set me up for
like you put me here for this, and it really made it look like she was probably the killer.
Yeah.
But then you think to yourself, really, would somebody kill somebody over a
board meeting?
Yeah. It's like kind of
And we're gonna go on a quick cat scratching break, and we'll be right back, folks.
Yeah.
All right, we are back from our little cat scratching break here. So let's pick up where we left off, which was the board meeting. They were all having the board meeting, and Nina and Buddy were fighting over, Buddy not wanting to step down from being.
So, now we're in present day, and Howard and the group is going over Howard's
meetings from the
his meetings from the minutes,
his minutes from the meetings. Yes.
So they get to see all this stuff that she didn't want to step down, right? Like
they're reading.
Because that Howard guy is so bizarre too. He's like.
Yeah. We love cats, but, I don't know if we'd freeze our cat. Did he put his cat in the freezer? last season? Something with the
Yeah,
damn, the
I think
cat's
he
foot was a
did.
big thing.
Yeah, the cat was a big
But
thing.
they decide that out of their fans, Lester, who's the doorman or the elevator guy, and a potential lover in Florida, that Nina is definitely the prime suspect for them. Oh my god, I'm stumbling all over my words right now.
Yeah, this is where I don't know. Oh, I don't know. This is where though it's nice because you see Bunny being like sweet and kind because they there's a flashback of the night that she died and you see her go to the group and she brings them a really nice bottle of champagne and she actually thanks them for solving the mystery. She gave them a lot of grief last season, but she actually thanks them for solving the mystery. They give her a hoodie with their merch because they actually have merch, which cracks me up.
Yeah.
They kind of like don't realize that she is like looking for somebody to pay attention to her.
Yeah, like she wants to hang out with them.
She wanted to hang out with them, kind of. She was lonely, I guess. So they shut the door on her, and they go back in, and then they hear her crying. I guess like in the hallway.
Yeah, she was like wailing.
Yeah. So instead of like going and getting her, first,
well, they were gonna go and get her.
Yeah, but
and then when they opened the door, she was gone, and they were like, "Oh, okay." So they're like, "You know what?
Let's go
to the roof," which is the end of season 1 that we see. They're kind of they go to the roof, and they're like, just in case she comes back. And we see what Bunny goes to do, and she goes to her apartment, and she's watching a crime show, which is where the bird, Mrs. Gambolini, learns to say, "I know who did it," which obviously we don't know if the bird actually knows who did it, but it does. The bird might know who did it, but obviously doesn't know how to say words besides what it was taught.
Yeah, but then they realize that that's just... Yeah. Well, we realize that they don't know that yet.
Yes, and the murderer knocks on the door, and Bunny's dead.
Does she say something like, what are you doing here or something? Does she say something like
she
that?
said, she thinks it's the group knocking on her door, and she's like, "I don't want to join your party anymore now."
Yeah.
And then I think they just kind of barge in, and we pick up from there with episode 4. And we see Charles, a little montage of him texting Lucy, who is his ex's daughter, not actually his daughter, but
they just became very close. Apparently,
treated her as her daughter.
They referenced her in the first season.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I guess that's what they're using the opportunity to bring her in. And then Charles, they show him going to film Brazzo's reboot, and he finds out, like we said, that his character is going to have dementia and be in a wheelchair, so that in case his murder
kind of evolves
thing
with him.
goes wrong, they can just write him right out. And when he goes to his trailer, you magically see Lucy now, the one that he's been texting. She's in there waiting for him. I think she has like a bag or something.
Yeah. And then we see Oliver talking to his son Will on the phone about how he needs help with the play that we mentioned earlier. And when on the elevator, he bumps into Teddy Demas. I think that's how you say his last name. Who had a whole big thing last season, and he was also arrested. With the jewels.
Yeah, his was just with jewels or something, but they were trying to use him as like to trick you into thinking, oh, he's the killer too. Like he was one of those people, but he still went to jail because of Oliver and Charles and them.
Yes, so he's currently on release, and he's planning his revenge, obviously, because what else is there to do?
Or he's just trying to make Oliver think he is, like, because that's sometimes the thought is worse than the actual thing.
I think now, after there's going to be a scene in this episode where you see him talking with his son who is deaf, and I think with how things are going with his son, he might kind of maybe drop it or not care as much. But he still is definitely going to have a role in this season, which we'll get to, I think, in the next episode or the end of this episode. Next episode.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, next episode.
Because this is the one where they go into the tunnels now.
Yes. Which is discovered when they go back to Charles's apartment. He is talking to Lucy and being like, "Why are you here?" And Oliver and Mabel just walk in, which also we've mentioned.
No doors locked.
No doors locked. We've mentioned this before in our Real Housewives of Beverly Hills recap, and those are real people.
Not lock doors.
Do you guys not lock your doors?
Where the hell do you live?
Please let us know, because we lock our doors here.
I don't know.
And Charles says to Mabel if she could speak to Lucy, since they're both young and they got the young slang.
She's trying to figure out why she's here. Like,
he wants her to ask her why she's here, but relate on the younger basis. And Oliver actually comes back in. Him and Charles step out, and he comes back in with an old record of Charles, which you can actually listen to the song on Spotify.
Really?
For real, yes.
picture is
So
just
after you finish
classic.
listening to our podcast on Spotify, you can go and listen to that. I don't know. It might be on other platforms. I just personally use Spotify, so I know that it's on there. And then a big thing happens while they are listening to the song.
Yeah. Lucy goes to grab a knife to cut up vegetables. Which, why was she cutting up vegetables? Did she
I think
ask
they
him
were just
for a
making a
snack?
snack or something. I don't know.
I don't know. That was weird. But then she finds the murder weapon. But here's the thing that gets me. So the knife they're claiming is Oliver's.
Yes, he said it was a gift from a play, like somebody gifted to him from one of his play
but
shows.
here's the thing that gets me. She obviously touched it, so her fingerprints are on it. But then they were saying Oliver was going to touch it or something like that. And they're like, no, don't anybody touch it. And because if that is the murder weapon with the dry blood on it, obviously is what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Mabel's like, don't touch it because my prints are not on that. And that
Yeah.
can prove that I didn't have anything to do with that. But the young girl's prints are on it.
Yeah, but I guess they would hopefully be like, explain the situation. Like, she just pulled it out of my knife rack and there it was. Well, I mean, how do you explain that it was in your knife rack too?
Well, there's that.
I mean, it does. Well, the doors are unlocked, so people just come in. But
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like the doors are unlocked. You already had somebody come and bring a painting in.
oh
Like,
wait, I think
wouldn't
they
you
have a
not-
key to his apartment, but I didn't see them use a key in this instance, so I don't know. And then Howard comes over because he told them that he had some hot goss, I believe is what he said, and Oliver gets scared and throws the knife into the ceiling. And Oliver shares that his hot goss is that Nina is actually the one who had given him the black eye, which is on the night of Bunny's death. Which I guess I'm assuming we'll find out that she was giving him the black eye probably while Bunny was like dying to whoever else. I don't really know.
Well, then that obviously makes him think that she might not be the one. I don't know.
Yeah, I would definitely probably right now rule out Howard and Nina being really deeply involved in this.
Yeah. But then it's funny because they go to, like, I think this is the coolest parts when they start showing these tunnels, but they go to Lucy going to the bathroom, which I thought something was going on because I'm like, what the hell is she doing in that bathroom? She was in the bathroom for so freaking long.
Yeah.
And they discover that did they open the door or did she open the door?
They said, "Oh, can we come in now?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, come in." And she's
then
like,
she
"Well,"
had the passageway open, and she goes, "I think I know how they were getting into your apartment."
or the front door that's unlocked.
Well,
She doesn't say that, but now now we're thinking that. But yeah, obviously the main point is supposed to be through these secret tunnels that are through
in the walls.
In the
basically.
walls.
Yeah. And I guess they were made from, like, they were kind of stating when they were talking about the elevators that this stuff was from Prohibition.
Yeah,
Like, they
the
were
architect put this in
put
place.
them in for you to, like, get around the building without, like, or get things in and out of the building and stuff, which makes sense, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's like still like, how do you not hear somebody
Walking in the halls.
halls or walking
in the walls, not the halls.
Yeah, walking in the walls. Like, I don't know. It's just creepy. I mean, maybe it's quiet. I don't know, but they were all talking real loud. So how do you not hear somebody passing your apartment? Like, I mean, we hear people passing our apartment in the hallway.
You hear them on the other side of the wall. You don't even need to be in the walls.
I don't know.
So once in the tunnels, Oliver splits up from the rest of them, and he goes to Teddy's, and he sees Teddy actually fighting with his son Theo. As we mentioned, he is deaf, and he's gonna get his own lawyer, the son, basically to protect him. And the rest goes to Nina's, where they see her kind of reason for wanting to be the board member. Kind of this giant dome on top of the Arconia. It almost looks like a futuristic spaceship in my eyes.
Yeah.
And
But they didn't act like the guy she was with was the baby daddy.
no, I think they.
Because they said, who is he or something, I thought.
Yeah, it was definitely somebody that I feel like if she's been living here, you probably would know her husband.
Yeah, it was weird because
I
that's why
think
they
at
were
least.
acting like they
They
didn't
were like,
know.
oh, the baby dad. I
But
don't
they
know.
were like kissing and stuff, so they are obviously
Obviously
somebody
together,
involved.
but they end up reuniting the group, and they kind of just share what they had found, and they decide that they're going to go to Nina's to see if they can get her to confess because she's pregnant, or hormonal was basically the reason that she might just slip up on accident
Yeah.
and confess.
And then Nina's water breaks.
Yeah, while they're there, I think they were like almost like, they made it seem like, okay, fine, I'm gonna confess, and no,
No, and then
Water
her water breaks.
breaks.
And they're trying to help her, like, give birth, and then I think the ambulance
the
comes
ambulance
and
walks
takes
in
her
like
away
at the
or whatever.
perfect time. Yeah,
But I think they are all convinced she's not
yeah,
the
she's
one.
not. No,
Because she said something about Bunny. Didn't she something nice? She said something about Bunny.
I
like,
think so. I think so. Yeah. Plus, also when you think about these tunnels, imagine this pregnant woman trying to get Bunny through the tunnels into Mabel's apartment. Like, I don't see a
I just
pregnant
can't see
woman
anybody
doing
getting
this.
bunny through any regardless.
Like, well, we do find out that to get into Mabel's apartment, you actually have to climb into hers via that.
That's what's weird.
Because it was
But
just
weren't they saying that they escaped through the tunnel? They thought, and that's
maybe, which
we're
then
getting ahead of ourselves.
it's we'll get back to that.
Yeah, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
They go back to Charles's and they kind of discuss the whole entire day. And Oliver does leave with the murder weapon, which I feel like is important to, state, because that's the last time we see it is in his possession here. And Charles says goodbye to Lucy, and she shares another pretty important fact here, that she was going to come and see him the night of the murder, but she tells him she was not here, even though we do see her here.
Yeah, they show
a
like
flashback.
a full-blown flashback of her in the building, sneaking into Charles's apartment and going into the tunnels, which, why?
Why hide in the tunnels?
Well, she was doing like a little
Video.
like a video of
But she was trying to, I think, you see them kind of almost bump into each other, her and Charles, and she's just trying to hide, but I'm like, why didn't she just
it
leave?
doesn't make any sense what she was trying to do, like why she was, what was
Maybe she was
doing?
gonna wait for him. I don't really know what the point of
But
her
then
was
she ends
there.
up hearing Bunny being murdered, and then she sees someone walking in the wall halls, we'll call them, and they sneeze, and then she like kind of freezes and just like freaks out.
Yeah, I feel like the sneeze is weirdly important to mention, because I feel like that's somebody who definitely has like some kind of allergies or something. Like, why would they have them sneeze for no reason? No, everything's something on this show. Though once she gets in the car and leaves, Charles checks his phone and we see like a ton of missed calls from an unknown caller, who we find out is Jan calling from prison.
Yeah, Jan was the murderer
from last season.
Sorry,
Spoiler, but we gave you a warning.
Yeah.
If you're already here almost 40 minutes in with, and you didn't know that.
Yeah.
This is on you at this point. But into episode 5 here, we pick up with Jan and Charles in prison, and she shares something pretty important, that she thinks only an artist would do this.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out. He only wants us here because he's trying to figure out, like,
he needs help.
They're getting nowhere. So he figured who else would know better than a murderer, and she basically says that this is done by someone that likes to tell a story, and the story's not over, and they're painting a full picture, and they're not going to be done till they're done. So
yeah,
it does give him. She tells him to look at people that are close to you, or anybody that's new trying to get into your group. Those are the people that would probably be the best suspect, because they're going to stay closest to you to keep the story thing going. So
yeah, and Mabel's in the tunnels again, and she goes into like hers. I don't know if they show that she starts at Bunny's. Maybe she's just trying to see the pathway or something. But she climbs in through her vent, which is like in the floor, and it goes into her closet. Yeah. And she finds a little matchbox from a diner, and it has blood on it, which is most likely from the
pickle diner
killer. And while in these halls, once again, back to her point, how do you not hear anybody? She's loudly on the phone. I think
speakerphone.
Well, I don't know if it was.
It was.
Okay.
Oh no, maybe she wasn't.
It might have just.
No, but then she put her on speakerphone and put her in her pocket, so she definitely was not quiet.
Well, she's on the phone with Alice, and Alice says that she has a leak in her art studio, so she can't be holding her new party there. So she says, "Can I host it at yours, Mabel?" Which, after what we just heard from Jan, seems oddly suspicious.
Yeah, so she agrees to do it. But then when she comes up, like you said, she finds the matchbox. So now I think she sends like a picture to them or something, and then they all decide
to meet up at the diner.
And go look for clues. And that's when I think like Alice texts her or something, and Charles and Oliver discover that they're dating. And they're becoming very suspicious of Alice, because he just told them also what Jan told him about, somebody close to you, and then Mabel tells him she's hosting a party for her. So of course these two.
She ticks off all the boxes for prime suspect now, obviously.
A murderer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to the party in Mabel's. And Oliver decides that they're going to play this game called Son of Sam, where one person's a murderer.
Yeah, well, they did that in the very beginning.
Yes, there are flashbacks.
They showed in the very beginning the flash, but we left that out of Oliver
playing this
throughout
the years.
Yeah, playing this throughout the years. That this was his game where he could tell.
He always gets the Son of Sam right.
He could tell who was had a lie. Ugh.
Who was lying about it.
Yeah, who was lying. And in this one, it does show, like, I noticed it the second time I watched it. They talk about a guy that's sitting next to him, and he says to him, "Don't cheat, Teddy." And I realized Teddy is the Teddy that he met in the elevator. That's
Teddy
in the building.
Demas, yeah.
Demas, yeah. So obviously he's been friends with him for years because this was a real young Oliver they showed.
Yeah, and then we get a second one too.
Before marriage, I think it was even actually. The first one.
Yeah, that was like they were like still teens. And then
Yeah.
the second one we see where his son is now born. And they're playing it again with Teddy, and Teddy's the son of Sam in this one. But we're going to get more into that game towards the end of the episode.
Yeah. So he breaks it back out to try to figure out, is Alice the
son
murder?
of Sam.
Yeah.
Which the game plays through, and it comes down to Mabel and Alice being the last two, which for me is always funny that they're trying to like pin Mabel as always potentially the murderer.
Well, that's what doesn't make any sense to me, because in the end, yeah, when she shows her, like, Oliver confronts her and tells her she's lying because, you know, her hair is her tell, that she twirls her hair, and she does confess that, like, she wasn't raised with, like, all this, like, prestige and this and that, and went to Oxford and all this stuff that she told everybody, because, you know, she's a starving artist, and who wants to buy an art, you know, something. Most people do buy from the starving artists because they're the ones that are the better, but hey, what do I know? I'm just an artist myself. But she does confess to, like, telling little lies. But then she shows the card, which is, if you were not the son of Sam, you were like
pretty blonde.
A pretty blonde.
Yeah.
She magically has a pretty blonde card. But here's the thing that gets me. I know Mabel's mad because they're grilling her. She's mad at Charles and Oliver, but nobody stopped to think, well, if she has the pretty blonde card, then that means Oliver or Mabel has to have the son of Sam. So
Yeah.
why didn't that, like, they didn't address that either?
Yeah, which is weird. They kind of do just drop this game quite quickly there. And you know, later throughout the episode we get a little thing of Charles and Jan like talking, seeing that they're kind of like flirting with each other, weirdly enough.
Over the crime case. Like, it's weird. She's got a weird thing with the murders and stuff. And
and Oliver, I believe on the way back to his apartment, sees the waiter who had given the money to previously leave it at his door. So he confronts the guy, and they go to the diner again, him and the waiter, and he shows him the security tape, and we see Bunny's killer picking up the matchbox, obviously, because we all figured. Alice and Mabel end up making up, and they do a little pan over them, and we see Alice's bag, which we're to assume it's Alice's bag. Could be Mabel's.
Yeah, that's the thing. Could be Mabel's bag. We don't really know whose bag that was, but
the Son of Sam card's in there, crumpled up, which means somehow she got 2 cards, I guess. Or I don't. Yeah, we're gonna need an explanation.
Yeah,
on that.
I don't know.
I'm hoping they will explain it.
I mean, she could have just picked up the other card somehow, but. And then, of course, from the very beginning, where Oliver was doing the project with his son about, in the very, like, first episode it started, wasn't it the first? No, in this episode, it started kind of showing him doing a project with his son about genetics and his, like, DNA and all like that. He had to take a DNA test. And he comes back telling him, are you sure you're Irish? Because half of his thing came back Greek. And in case you didn't know, his mom is African American.
Yeah.
William's mom. And that's who Oliver married. And so, like, there's clear cut that what her nationalities are. So I guess he's saying, like, it's not her that's Greek. So if you never mentioned being Greek. And then, of course, you see Oliver look down because he's holding the Greek dip.
Yeah.
That was a big thing. The Greek dip was like a big thing for some reason. And you see him, like, you can see his mind flashing, and then it flashes back to the Son of Sam game.
And it's now after he has called Teddy out for being the Son of Sam here, and he's like, you're still doing your tell, Teddy. And now in his mind, in present day, he realizes, yeah, that's because he had slept with Oliver's wife, and
Will
that
could be
Will
his
is
son.
probably his son.
Yeah.
And then we start with episode 6, which is our last episode here, which is we bring back Cinda Canning here because she's got a special interview with Jimmy Russo.
Yeah, some guy from Mabel's past that she chopped off a finger of. This lady's... who plays her character? Molly? No.
Tina Fey.
Tina Fey. I love Tina Fey.
But
I cannot stand this character because, like, she's just one of those characters that's going to be, like, ruthless. And she doesn't even care if she has the truth or has the facts. She's just going to put it out there and, like, let the chips fall where they may. And, of course, the stuff that's falling is going to be damning to Mabel and make her look really bad.
Obviously, yeah. And then we see Alice is at Mabel's and she's photographing the picture of Bunny's bloodstain under the carpet that Mabel put down to cover it. Weirdly enough, that's just weird to me. And Mabel and Alice share breakfast, and Mabel had mentioned her dad while they were having breakfast, and Alice wants to know, what's up with your dad? And
yeah, I was wondering that too. Like, they don't really talk about her parents, but they talked about her mother.
we saw the mom
but
last
never
season,
the dad.
And she wanted to know how much she had told Alice about her dad's situation, and Alice said, well, nothing. And that's something that Mabel liked, because with Alice she feels like she gets to start anew.
Yeah.
Which I think is the whole reason that she does enjoy having, obviously, Alice be around.
Yeah,
and
but taking pictures of those bloodstains was interesting. I mean, we later find out, but
yeah.
But then you see Charles and Jan talking in prison again, and he says that it's just the crazy storyline. Like, I love that they threw this kooky little thing in.
Yeah, something a little fun.
Yeah, because they're like, he's like, I'm not. Or was he saying he's like not coming back or something? Or it's like there's no reason for us to. She was
making flirtatious comments. And he's like,
he brought her up. Yeah, he brought her these like blueberry bagels that they ate or something like that, and they were reminiscing or something. And like he's like, yeah, we're not together. And she's like, what gave you any indication that I broke up with you? And like he's like, well, you tried to kill me. Because if in case you didn't know, she tried to kill him, even though
which was a great scene. Yeah, all drugged up. That was really great.
They were a couple, but she still tried to kill him, so it didn't matter.
The whole building as well.
Yeah, basically.
She tried to wipe out the whole Arconia.
Yeah, she was going to blow up the whole building, so...
and Oliver goes to get his little DNA test, and he's absolutely freaking out. We don't find the results out still, even at the end of the episode. I'll just say that now. We don't know his official results. He could be Greek. We don't know.
Yeah, and then, that could be what could happen. Honestly, I mean, maybe Charles comes back Greek and part Greek or something. Who knows?
Oliver.
Maybe like Oliver. Maybe like Teddy and Oliver are brothers or something weird. Who knows?
You
never know on the show where they're going to go with this. But then they go to Charles filming Brazos, and I mean, it actually didn't look bad. The thing that they were doing, it kind of looked funny. I mean, he looked kooky because
it was funny for us because at the end they're like, he goes. She's like talking to him very seriously. And he's like, I want soup, and cut the. And they're like, cut. That was perfect, of course.
Yeah, they were saying it's good. And Oliver and Mabel and Lucy are back now. Lucy came back, and
they're visiting him on set.
Yeah, Oliver's showing him showing all of the security footage, and
Mabel has the matchbook on her.
Yeah.
And they all notice that all of a sudden now they notice that there's a bloody print on it. On the matchbook.
Was that Lucy that did that?
I thought it was either her or Mabel. I know it was one of those two.
Yeah, I thought it was them. So they decide, which I thought this was really interesting. They decide to text Detective Williams with the number that she texted them from the night of the murder. Now in the very first episode when they started, they said to her, "You're the one that told us to get out of the building." Yeah, like,
thanks for telling us.
And she really didn't say yes or no.
Well, she said no. And they were like, okay, like,
but
wink.
They thought she was saying it, like, wink, wink.
Like, I can't say this in the police station, obviously.
But she really might have meant no.
No, she was being... We find out she's... No.
Yeah, because it doesn't...
It won't pan out.
Seem that way.
We'll get to that part.
Yeah.
Joy, who is Charles' hair and makeup, she was on the original Brazos with him. She comes over with him, talking to him, and the group's like, she's flirting with you. You know that? Like, you guys would be good together. And he's like, I'm single, but I'm technically not single, because he doesn't want to tell them.
I think they're only using this lady to come on the scene as a way to tell them about Jan, because they don't know that he's going to see Jan.
They're like, he's like, no, and they're like, okay, well, like, fine, we guess, but
Yeah, and then they have Detective Williams actually texts them back and says that she will, she'll run the prints on the matchbook. But a police officer comes over to the set and shares that Detective Krups.
Krebs? I think it's Krebs. It's Michael
Rappaport's
Rappaport's character.
Krebs and Krebs, wants to meet with them. In Buddy's apartment. I mean, that's Michael Rappaport. He can do no wrong in my opinion. Michael Rappaport. He is the #1 Housewife fan. He even has a podcast about it.
Well, you know what's so funny? I had seen him very quickly. We won't drive off too much, but I saw him on Atypical, and then I think you were watching Watch What Happens Live, and I see him gushing about the Real Housewives, and I'm like,
and in the most New York, New Jersey accent ever. It's like
crazy. It threw me off because I was not expecting that from what I had seen him as like the dad on there. Even here, you just don't
he's
expect
crazy.
him to gush about this.
Yeah, no, he's a funny actor, but he gets them all to come to Bunny's apartment. They think he's got some kind of like hot topic or whatever and no, that's not what's happening.
No, he is also there with Cinda Canning and her assistant Poppy, and he's just telling them, you guys gotta stop podcasting because like the anonymous tip line is blowing up with these weird tips that aren't really helpful to them at all. And Cinda Canning tells them that they should all watch out for her next episode because it has Jimmy in it. So they're all like, the hell is Jimmy? And
Mabel knows who Jimmy is. She knows that
Yeah, she does know who he
knows
is.
it's gonna make her look bad, even though she knows that when she tells the full story, it's like not how it happened. But that's the whole point. But then they ask Detective Krupps where Detective Williams is, and he says something like, "I didn't know she was pregnant."
Her wife is pregnant.
Oh, her wife is pregnant.
Yes, because remember they were doing the nursery in the other season, and the wife was like, "You got to stop this."
Yeah, she's out on maternity leave
in Denver, which was weird because I was pretty sure they lived. I thought they lived in New York, so I don't know what's going on with the Denver part.
Yeah, I
don't know. Weirdly specific there. I mean, maybe we'll find out. But while
did he say maternity leave or
no maternity leave? Because I would assume that would be right because her wife was pregnant.
I don't know.
Mabel ends up catching up with Poppy in the hallway, and she tells her, "You got to stand up to Cinda, and you can't let her air this interview. It's not going to make her look good when the truth does come out in a sense." And they end up going back to Charles, and they text Detective Williams and ask where can they meet up because now they're getting a little suspicious.
Yeah, well now they realize
why isn't she here?
They realize that cannot be her that they're texting. That they I think Oliver even said it like we're texting the killer.
Yeah, they do come to the conclusion
which now makes it like I was saying to you before makes it real suspicious. Like so if they're texting the killer because that's the number that texted them saying get out of the building.
Yeah.
Why would the killer tell them to get out of the building?
Don't know.
Maybe the killer is a friend of theirs.
But maybe the killer only really wants Mabel, I guess that would make sense. Because he texted only Oliver and Charles that night to get out of there. But he didn't know Mabel was going down there, or maybe he did. That is very confusing. But Williams does say that they can't meet up face to face, obviously. And they'll get it later. Just leave it in Morningside Park for them to pick up.
Maybe it has to do something with... Since Alice asked about Mabel's father, maybe their sister? No, that's weird. That's gross.
That would be gross. Yeah, no. But what they leave in the park is not the actual match because they do know it's the killer.
Because Oliver just can't let it go.
They leave a decoy in there, and it happens to be a glitter bomb, which came up, which was per Charles and Oliver. Oliver says let's do a glitter bomb.
Yeah, he said to leave something to like
a decoy.
Like that would, but then of course Oliver comes because he's so flamboyant with a glitter bomb.
Yes, I believe he called it the Mariah. He had a little explanation for it. I can't remember what it was. But while they're doing that and they're waiting for to go up, Cinda's actually finishing up her podcast, and Poppy wants her to give her a promotion. And Cinda says she'll consider it, which it's like, oh, okay, great for her. She's gonna get a little promotion. And the group is waiting. While they're waiting, still, Cinda's podcast goes up. I guess within that minute, as soon as she literally finished recording, she said, that's not even realistic. She put it right up. And Mabel tells the truth about what actually happened with her and
Jimmy. That he was a creep, basically, and just handsy, and, he tripped and cut his finger in the meat slicer. Nothing to do with her.
So Charles decides, okay, well, let's stop talking about this, And he says, well, I'm going to put some music on. What do you guys want? And Oliver peeks over his shoulder from the back seat in the car, and he sees that he has a ton of calls to a prison, which forces him to reveal that he is obviously talking with Jan.
Yeah. And then Mabel, of course, is, really pissed, and she goes to leave the car, and that's when she realizes that they missed the killer, and they see him getting, running away from the garbage or something into with the glitter.
Park, with the glitter.
And then they
Mabel decides she's not going to ride back home with them. She's going to go for a walk on her own, which, as you're about to see, was not a great idea for her.
No.
We actually then see Cinda and Poppy talking again, and Cinda's like, I'm not giving you that promotion. I only said that because there was other people in the room, and you embarrassed me, and you put me on the spot. Which causes Poppy to kind of, not trust in Cinda anymore. She's not gonna help her, basically.
Yeah, so I'm thinking she's gonna turn on her probably, but Charles realizes he has to break it off with Jan, and he's like afraid to do it though because he's a little afraid of her because she's a murderer, you know, no lying.
Well,
there.
I think she did mention that she had murdered 3 other people before Tim Gono, so and it seems her murders are like out of love and passion and things. So
it's usually exes, it seems. So
so I would have been cautious.
Yeah, so
too.
he decides to send Zaz, his stunt double, there to deliver the Charles breakup letter, and she's not happy. But they kind of just leave it there, I think, with them. Like, they don't really go
she just
into
continues reading her the note.
Yeah.
And then now, truly what I think Alice is here for, not as a murderer, but Mabel says she's going to stop and go see her on the way home, and she sees in Alice's art studio, it's been completely transformed into Mabel's apartment.
Well, when she gets here, there's like some guy and a girl there, like talking or something.
Dressed up as Tim Kono.
Yeah, and I'm like,
which was her friend,
I didn't
and
realize
also
that
the
it was him.
No, I didn't see it till I rewatched it the second time, and I was like, oh my god, that's Tim Kono and her other friend who happened to be blonde. I can't remember that character's name, but I was like, oh wow, she went as far as to include Tim Kono in this. I just assumed it was gonna be Bunny, which we do once Mabel comes like deeper in and sees more of the apartment. She sees Alice dressed up as her and a fake bunny on the floor. She's trying to get to say 14 and savage. Yeah. And Alice shares she was not supposed to see this yet. She was supposed to wait till it was.
Which, like, is like, what? I don't even understand.
I don't know.
She said she was. I think when she was walking away, she was trying to say something like, "I was trying to help you solve this or figure this out" or something like that. I thought she was saying, but it's like that's just not. That's not how you do it. That's bad.
No,
that's bad.
Not a good idea.
So Oliver goes over to Charles's house, and he's waiting for his DNA results, and it kind of like they talk a little bit, and like he's like, oh, you know, nothing to worry about, and then it flashes back to Mabel, who's goes on the subway, and she's like, of course, all out of her mind. And now that Poppy, see the one that she messed with, she calls her and tells her that Lucinda's a liar, that, you know, she'll do anything for a story, and that, you know, she'll help them.
Yeah, if they need help.
But she can't stop the story. Obviously, that was already gone.
Which another big thing happens here. This the big finale of the episode here. Mabel, while she's on the phone with her, she puts the phone down and she sees the killer, or well, somebody in the black outfit that was all covered in the glitter. And Charles and Mabel, you know, Oliver gets a text and he's like, "Oh, it's probably my results." And he's like, "Oh no, it's my son." And his son sent him a video of Mabel stabbing the potential killer with a knitting needle.
Where is she getting these knitting needles from?
Yeah, because I don't know if she had I don't think she had a purse. If she did, it was definitely small.
Yeah, I don't understand.
So that killer must have had that on them.
I don't know.
Which, this is definitely going to be the most interesting thing for next week. Seeing what is going on with these knitting needles.
It's definitely going to be weird. They always leave you hanging with something like really like.
Yeah, I think this might be the best cliffhanger for this season so far.
Yeah, because you don't know what made her do that.
Like we said, where she got the knitting needles,
she got there.
how she just, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did he see her and attack her? Like, it just, it's weird.
Yeah, because we don't see that. We just see her stabbing him.
The best is that nobody's stopping her. They're just videotaping her.
Yeah, they're live streaming it. Oh my god, Bloody Mabel attacks again.
So New York, yep.
So that is our recap. We will do our official recap next week on August 8th.
Yes.
And that'll be of episode 7. Also, we're going to go a little bit deeper when we talk about those episodes. We were just kind of, you know, wanting to recap, get you guys caught up, and give a little bit of our opinion on some of the things that happened. But if we really dove in deep, we would be here all day. We would have like an hour for each one. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed hearing what we thought so far of the beginning of season 2. We'll share the rest, like we said. Make sure you follow our Instagram. We watch it all. And you can also go onto our Instagram. You go on our link tree if you want to see where else the podcasts are up and available for you to listen to. If you have a preferred streaming platform, I guess.
Yes, sirree.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for listening.
Yep. Hit that button.